Alone for 10 years, a millionaire's heart was touched when a new maid revealed an incredible INV. Jack Collins, a millionaire in a sprawling mansion tucked away in the rolling hills of Los Angeles, had grown accustomed to the suffocating silence that hovered over him like a dark cloud. It had been a decade since the laughter and love he once knew had faded into the background, leaving nothing but echoes of his beloved wife who had passed too soon. His opulent home, once vibrant with family gatherings, was now just a mausoleum of memories, each room brimming with reminders of a life stolen away. On the other side of town, Maria Mendoza, a hopeful 25-year-old immigrant from Mexico, stood on the brink of a new beginning. With dreams of a better future for her mother and younger siblings, she took on the role of Jack's new maid, hoping to send money back home. At first, Jack viewed Maria as just another employee, merely the divide between rich and poor embodied in human form. Yet her arrival summoned a warmth he hadn't felt in years. The way her laughter flowed, rich and contagious, drew him against his will, battling against the bitterness that had wrapped around him. Day by day, as she dusted and tidied, a spark ignited within him, chipping away at the emotional fortress he had built. One quiet afternoon, Maria stumbled upon a hidden room, its door slightly ajar, as if beckoning her inside. What she found there shattered the barrier of differences that separated them, a collection of memories, wedding photos, love letters, and treasured keepsakes from a life once filled with joy. Each item whispered stories of a love that had flourished and then withered away. With each glance, Maria felt a connection that transcended their worlds, and Jack caught a glimpse of the passion and dedication of his wife that he had buried deep within him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they began to share their respective struggles, her fight for a better life and his stifling grief, an unlikely bond formed. Yet the shadows of doubt lingered. Would Jack accept that their differences were merely illusions? Hope surged in Maria's heart, but the question remained: would Jack break free from the chains of his sorrow? The turning point came when the local school announced its closure due to budget cuts. Maria, recognizing the devastation this would cause to families in her community, sprang into action. She organized a fundraiser, asking Jack for his financial support. In that moment, he stood at a crossroads, exposed to the vibrancy of life outside his prison of isolation. As he witnessed her rallying the neighborhood, Jack felt his heart twitch, an unfamiliar warmth. He glanced at Maria, passion radiating from her every move, and for the first time in years, he craved connection. Would he step out of the shadows to join this newfound community? Would he finally reclaim the joy he once knew, or would he retreat again into his grief? Watching Maria stand amidst the crowd, her determination shining bright, sparked an ember of hope within him. He faced a choice that would change everything. Jack stood silently, surrounded by the energy of families gathering, their laughter intertwining with the buzz of excitement. It was a world he had long distanced himself from. But there, in the front, Maria was effortlessly drawing people together, her laughter breaking through his walls like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. She spoke with authority and warmth, her voice a melody that beckoned him forth. His heart raced as he considered her request for help. He had the means to support her efforts, but it felt like an insurmountable leap, one foot in his dark past and the other straddling a promising future. Maria caught his eye amid the crowd, a knowing smile spreading across her face. It was an invitation, a silent urging for him to step beyond the confines of his mansion, past the ghosts of his memories. The warmth and sincerity of her presence wrapped around him, urging him to act. "Hurry, Jack," she called, her voice pulling him like a lifeline. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his indecision swirl around him. In that moment, it wasn't just about the money, it was about reclaiming life itself. He walked into the throngs of people, his heart pounding wildly in his chest. "How much do you need?" he asked, the words tumbling out before he could second-guess himself. Surprise lit up Maria's eyes, and before she could respond, the crowd erupted into cheers. Jack felt like a foreign object being pulled into an orbit of joy he had long forgotten. As Maria explained the details, her excitement was infectious, her eyes sparkling, and Jack found himself nodding along with every word. Plans were drawn, community volunteers were enlisted, and for the first time in years, Jack found himself wanting to be part of something bigger than his loneliness. As the fundraiser date approached, the days flowed swiftly, colored in shades of activity and anticipation. Jack's mansion was filled with workers setting up tables, decorations, and planning logistics. Each moment he spent beside Maria chipped away at the years of solitude he had known. He watched her interact with the community, her sincerity pulling people together. They shared laughs over the simplest of tasks, and in those moments, Jack felt the pervasive gloom of loss beginning to lift, replaced with something like hope. On the evening of the fundraiser, the sun dipped low behind the hills, casting golden hues over the night. The once empty mansion was alive, filled with voices and laughter. Jack stood near Maria, their shoulders brushing together occasionally, an electric current sparking each time. He looked around, absorbing the joy in the air, and for the first time, he felt a sense of belonging that he thought had died with his wife. But as the evening drew on and the donations poured in, a moment of doubt flashed through him. Clarity washed over him. What if this vibrant life meant he would have to eventually let go of the past? Could he bridge the gap between the man he had been and the man he wanted to be? He glanced at Maria, who was beaming with pride, completely in her element. The question hung heavy in the air, sparking a renewed sense of urgency in his heart. Was he really ready to embrace this new reality? Or would fear once again send him retreating into the darkness? As he stood there, lost in thought, Maria caught his gaze, her smile unwavering. In that moment, Jack knew he had a choice to make. With the sound of laughter echoing around him, he felt the weight of possibility pressing down. The moment had arrived. He would either step forward into the unknown or allow fear to pull him back. Everything was at stake, and the next moment could change his life forever. The crowd swirled around Jack like a whirlwind, laughter and chatter wrapping him in a cocoon of warmth. He had spent years avoiding this buzz, hiding behind walls and closed doors, but now, something stirred within him. It was more than just the excitement of the fundraiser, it was the promise of connection, of finding joy once again. Maria stepped up beside him, her eyes shimmering in the soft glow of the lights hanging above them. "This is incredible, isn't it?" she asked, her voice low enough for only him to hear. The thrill in her tone ignited something in him. He smiled, a genuine smile that surprised even himself. "Yeah," he replied, feeling the edges of his past soften for the first time in years. "It really is." Together, they moved through the crowd, and Jack absorbed the energy around him. Families were coming together, children were chasing each other, and somewhere in the air, the scent of fresh popcorn mixed with the mingling voices. Each step felt lighter, as though he was shedding layers of the weight he had carried for far too long. As the night progressed, there were speeches and gratitude shared, each word sparking excitement that echoed through Jack's heart. Maria took the stage, her presence commanding yet approachable. He watched her animate the crowd with her passion, her words weaving a tapestry of hope and community. She shared stories of what the funds would do: provide scholarships, bring art programs back to schools, and ensure that no child went hungry after school. Jack's eyes glimmered with tears he didn't expect. It was as if Maria had cracked open a door to a room he thought was lost forever. This wasn't just about giving, it was about healing, about rebuilding a life filled with purpose. By the time the night wound down, Jack felt different, invigorated, almost alive. As Maria approached him again, he could see the flush of happiness on her face. "We did it, Jack!" she exclaimed, the excitement dancing in her eyes. "We raised so much more than I ever expected." It's thanks to you, he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. I wouldn't have done any of this without you. She looked at him for a moment, a soft seriousness replacing her joy. And you wouldn't have believed in it without showing up. His heart thumped in his chest. Could it be that simple? Just showing up? But then, doubt clawed at him again, the familiar tendrils of fear creeping back in. He thought of his past and the safety of solitude. This newfound happiness, could it last? Was he willing to risk it all for something that might slip through his fingers? As if sensing his turmoil, Maria leaned closer. You know, it's okay to feel scared, she said softly. But you're not alone anymore. You have a community now, and I'm here too. The sincerity in her eyes ignited a flicker of hope within him. But the question loomed, was he ready to let go of the past? Could he walk this path knowing the risk? Jack took a deep breath, aware that the next decision he made could forge a new chapter in his life. As the laughter began to fade into the night, he felt suspended between two worlds. Just then, a child ran past them, bumping into Jack's leg and giggling, the innocent joy in the air palpable. That simple moment sparked an urge within him to step forward. Maria, he began, the words coming with difficulty. What if before he could finish, the lights dimmed suddenly, and a hush fell over the crowd. Jack looked at Maria, who raised an eyebrow, equally intrigued and concerned. The moment felt charged with a promise waiting to be unveiled. What was about to happen next would change everything. What now? He whispered, his pulse quickening with anticipation. The crowd's chatter faded into a muted backdrop as the anticipation thickened in the air. The lights danced like stars above their heads, flickering as the silence swelled. Jack's heart raced, each beat resounding in his ears. He glanced at Maria, her eyes wide, reflecting a mixture of nervous energy and excitement. Then, a spotlight cut through the darkness, illuminating the stage. A tall figure stepped into the light, an older man with a weathered face but bright eyes, clearly a community stalwart. He adjusted the microphone and cleared his throat, sending a ripple of expectation through the crowd. Thank you all for being here tonight. His voice boomed, rich and confident. You've shown us what's possible when we come together. He paused, surveying the sea of faces before him, and Jack felt the crowd lean in closer, as if they were all part of one collective heartbeat. This year, we're announcing a new initiative, the man continued, his brows furrowing with intent. It's an opportunity to partner with local businesses. We will match every dollar raised here tonight for the next 6 months to help renovate our community center. The crowd erupted in cheers, applause echoing like thunder. Jack felt the collective joy sweeping him in, filling him with exhilaration. This was more than just numbers, it was hope for everyone who had walked these streets, for every child who dreamed of a future filled with possibility. Maria squeezed Jack's hand, her excitement spilling over. Can you believe this? She exclaimed, her joy infectious. This is going to change so much for them. Yes, he breathed, feeling the warmth of her grip rekindle the spark inside him. But as the noise of celebration surrounded them, a flicker of worry reignited in his chest. Would he still be here when the dust settled? What if he couldn't keep this up? The speaker continued with his announcements, but Jack found himself tuning in and out, his thoughts battling his heart. The community center stood as a symbol, a place that would transform lives, bring people together, and perhaps offer him a chance to belong. Just then, a child's bright laughter broke through his reverie, reminding him of the joy he had glimpsed that evening. A small girl with pigtails danced in circles, her carefree spirit pulling at the corners of Jack's heart, urging him to step further into this world. There was something so pure about innocence, and he longed to be part of something larger, something that mattered. Jack? Maria's voice pulled him back, soft yet steady, anchored in concern. Are you okay? He turned to her, searching her gaze for answers he didn't quite understand. I don't know, he confessed, vulnerability slipping into his words. I thought coming here would be enough, but maybe I'm not ready to take more steps. Maria's expression shifted to one of understanding. Maybe taking our time is what we need, she said gently. But being part of the community is a good step. It's okay to be scared. The crowd's cheers faded slightly in the background as the man on stage began to talk about upcoming plans, but for Jack, it was only the two of them in that moment. He could feel the pulse of hope under the surface of his fears, tentatively pushing him into a future he had long since denied. Maybe I'll try, he said, voice low and tentative, but a tiny knot of determination nestled in his chest. Just then, a loud gasp swept through the crowd, drawing their attention back to the stage. Jack looked up sharply, heart leaping as a figure emerged behind the older man. It was a young boy, holding a sign high above his head, his little frame trembling with excitement. The sign read, "Thank you for believing in us." At that moment, Jack realized that this was not just about him or Maria or the community. It was about every person who had been overlooked, ignored, or pushed aside. It was about hope. And he suddenly wanted more. As Jack felt the foundations of his heart shift, something deep inside stirred, beckoning him to rise to the occasion. But before he could express his new resolve, the lights flickered again, casting an ominous shadow over the crowd. "What is happening now?" he whispered, uncertainty creeping back. Would he be able to hold on to this newfound strength? Jack's eyes darted around the crowd, searching for the source of the sudden darkness that enveloped them. The flickering spotlight had dimmed, making the jubilant scene on stage feel unreal, almost like a dream slipping away. The murmur of anxious voices rose, chasing away the earlier joy. He squeezed Maria's hand tighter, his pulse quickening. What if this is a sign? He muttered, worry lurking behind his words. The boy with the sign was still there, frozen in the spotlight that seemed on the verge of collapsing into shadows. Maria shook her head, her voice steady in his ear. "It's just a power surge, Jack. Breathe. It will pass." But her eyes betrayed a flicker of concern too. The man on stage waved his hands, trying to keep the audience calm. "Everyone, stay where you are. We have some technical difficulties, but let us not lose our momentum." The crowd shifted uneasily, but Jack felt a tide pulling him in two directions. One part wanted to be swept away by the joy of the moment, families cheering, children laughing, and hope radiating through the crowd. The other part was anchored by his own apprehension, questioning if he was truly ready to be part of this woven fabric of community and trust. Just then, the lights blinked back to life. Not all at once, but patchy, like stars breaking through a cloudy night. Jack saw the boy again, still standing there, hopeful and bright against the shadows. His small face was tense, striving to uplift the spirits of the people around him. "Everyone hold tight," the older man shouted, his strong voice cutting through the crowd's restlessness. "We have so much to celebrate tonight." As the lights flickered back on, Jack's gaze met Maria's. She smiled, a genuine light glimmering in her eyes. "See? Just like the lights, we have to trust that there's always a way back to brightness." Her words ignited something deep within him. He could feel the warmth of hope expanding in his chest, and a determination surged forward. "Let us do this," he whispered, feeling a shift in his heart. "Let us be part of it." With that thought buzzing in his mind, Jack stood a little taller. He could see the way the community thrived on one another's support. It was infectious, and he wanted to be part of fostering that energy. After a few moments, the man on stage continued, enthusiasm returning to his voice. "Now, we have something truly special planned." He gestured towards the side of the stage. "Please welcome our community's talented youth choir." The crowd erupted into applause again, and Jack felt a rush of excitement. Maria turned to him, her expression brightened with expectation. The children appeared bright-eyed and dressed in matching outfits, a diverse mixture of smiles and laughter. As they began to sing, their voices intertwined like a soft melody, threading through the atmosphere and wrapping it in warmth. The choir exuded a sense of unity, a reminder of why they were all there. Jack closed his eyes briefly, letting the harmonies wash over him. Maybe being part of this community was within reach. He felt Maria's hand squeeze his again, and he opened his eyes to see her beaming, filled with pride. As their singing echoed in the evening air, something within him solidified. He finally understood what Maria meant. This was about connection. About stepping beyond fears and embracing the possibility to change not just his life but the lives around him. A moment later, the song came to an end, and the applause roared back like waves crashing on the shore. Jack could sense the exhilaration melding with something deeper, the promise of togetherness. Yet, just as he thought he had a grip on his emotions, a familiar figure in the crowd caught his eye. It was an old classmate, someone from a time he tried hard to forget. Jack's breath caught in his throat, and all the courage he had just mustered began to tremble. What would this encounter mean for him? Would it pull him back into the shadows or force him to step boldly into the light? Jack's heart raced as he processed the sight of his old classmate, Nathan. The years fell away, and he was back in high school, trapped in memories he'd rather keep buried. Memories of taunts and laughter that echoed through lonely halls. He felt a familiar knot in his stomach, threatening to undo the bravery he had just built with Maria's encouragement. Nathan stood there, a confident smile plastered on his face, still fully absorbed in the celebration. He hadn't noticed Jack yet, which gave Jack a moment to collect himself. The choir's voices faded for a fraction of a second, and in that silence, everything felt amplified: the laughter of children, the buzz of excitement, and his own heartbeat, rapid and loud in his ears. Jack? Maria's voice pulled him back, but her concerned gaze only intensified his discomfort. Are you okay? Jack nodded, but inside he felt far from it. He wanted to turn away, to escape the looming confrontation, but he couldn't shake off the pull to confront this part of his past. Would he ask Nathan why? Why he teased him back then? Or maybe it was time to let it all go. As Nathan finally turned, their eyes met. For a moment, it felt like time had slowed. Jack braced for a reaction. Would Nathan even remember him? Would he carry that same arrogance? But instead, Nathan's expression shifted. Recognition flickered across his face, and a look of surprise mixed with something softer followed. Jack! Wow, it's been what, 10 years? Jack could only muster a weak smile, caught somewhere between surprise and wariness. Yeah, about that. What are you doing now? Nathan's tone seemed genuine, and Jack felt a moment of confusion. Where so much animosity had once thrived, there was now a bridge of connection. But Jack's guard was still up, he couldn't allow himself to forget. I'm finding my way, Jack replied, glancing down at Maria, who was watching intently, her expression encouraging. What about you? Oh, I'm just back in town for a bit. It's good to see everyone again. Nathan's eyes drifted, absorbing the atmosphere around them, the joyful event, the choir's energy, the same unity Jack now felt deep within his bones. The moment felt strange, heavy with the potential for change. Jack could either lock away the past like a comforting secret, or he could acknowledge it and see how far he'd really come. The warmth of community from moments before seemed to seep back in, threading itself through them like the choir's melodious song. Suddenly, amidst the laughter and celebration, Nathan shifted closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Listen, Jack, if I've ever hurt you, I'm really sorry. You know how the stupid high school stuff can be. Jack's heart softened. The apology hung there, unexpected but significant. It was a feast of vulnerability, a moment where both of them were more than their pasts. I appreciate that, Jack replied, the tension beginning to ease. I guess we all grow up. Just as they found a moment of understanding, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd, pulling both of them back to the reality of the celebration. The energy surged again, and Jack felt a newfound determination igniting within him. Maybe we can find a way to move forward, he suggested, surprising even himself. Maybe now is the time to actually connect. Nathan nodded, the slightest smile of hope creeping onto his face. The shadows in Jack's heart began to lift, little by little. But even as he stood there amid the joyful chaos, his thoughts lingered on the future. Was he truly ready to embrace this path? And just then, the choir started their next song, a melody that seemed to speak directly to his heart, weaving through the air like threads of hope. As he stood there between two lives, his past and the present, Jack couldn't help but wonder about this new beginning. Could he really rebuild connections he thought were forever severed? Jack took a deep breath as the atmosphere buzzed around him. The choir's soaring notes danced in his chest, mingling with newfound emotions he thought he had long buried. It was strange, stepping back into this moment, where the past seemed both distant and painfully close. As the last echoes of the song faded, Jack noticed Maria's warm smile. She had been his anchor throughout this event, and now it felt like they were sharing this small yet significant victory together. "You did great," she whispered, her voice gentle, as if the vulnerability of the moment could break at any second. "Thanks," Jack replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Nathan's eyes sparkled with a hint of mischief, just like in their school days. "Hey, we should catch up. There's so much to talk about," he said, enthusiasm threading through his words. "Let us grab a drink or something." Jack hesitated. A drink felt too casual, too easy, a departure from the weight of the conversation they had just shared. But something in Nathan's tone beckoned him. Perhaps this could be a chance, a moment to finally confront the specters of their shared past. "Sure," he found himself saying, and he almost surprised himself with that decision. They made their way through the crowd, Jack's stomach still twisting with nerves, yet hopeful at the same time. As they walked, laughter and conversations washed over them like waves, carrying with them the nostalgia of their youth. He spotted familiar faces, old friends, generated whispers of time gone by and the joy of reunion. They found a quieter spot near the edge of the event, where the night air was cool and the crowd felt miles away. Jack took a sip of his drink, the cold liquid gripping him with a chill. "So, what has been going on with you?" he asked cautiously, wanting to steer the conversation into safer territory. Nathan leaned back, a grin spreading across his face. "Well, after graduation, I moved to the city, started my own business. It's been a wild ride." He paused, perhaps gauging Jack's reaction. "What about you?" Jack felt a nervous flutter in his stomach. His past had always lingered like a shadow, but he shared more than just surface-level accomplishments. "I've been working at the community center here helping kids. It's meaningful, you know." A flicker of recognition crossed Nathan's face. "Wow, that's impressive." "I've heard good things about the center," he admitted, and Jack could sense the sincerity in his voice. For the next few minutes, their conversation flowed more easily than expected. They laughed over shared memories and confessed to the struggles of adulthood. The tension that had rigidly enveloped Jack started to dissolve, replaced by a shared understanding. But as the tension eased, a sudden question gnawed at Jack's mind. Why did you treat me that way back in high school?" Nathan's smile faltered, replaced by an emotion Jack couldn't quite place: regret. "I was stupid. I thought being tough made me cooler, and I picked on anyone I thought was different," he confessed, his voice laced with honesty. "I've regretted it ever since." Jack looked away, his past flickering vividly in his mind: the loneliness, the sting of hurtful words. "It affected me more than you know," he admitted, allowing himself a moment of vulnerability. "I get it. And I'm really sorry." Nathan's voice was genuine, the weight of their past hanging heavily between them. Jack felt the walls he had built slowly crumbling, replaced by the fragile hope of a renewed friendship. Just then, a sudden ruckus erupted from the main area: a scuffle, perhaps, or unexpected cheers. They looked past the crowd, momentarily distracted. "Want to check that out?" Nathan asked, his smile returning, eager to lighten the moment. Jack nodded, but in his heart lingered something deeper, a curiosity in this unexpected twist. Would they truly be able to start fresh, or were the ghosts of their shared history too powerful to overcome? The music swelled again, pulling them back into a world alive with laughter and celebration, yet brought with it an unfinished conversation that tugged at Jack. Would this night really change his perspective on friendship, or would it all lead to more questions than answers? Jack felt a flicker of anticipation as they stepped closer to the commotion. The vibrant energy in the air twisted his earlier trepidation into something tangible, a mix of hope and uncertainty. He found himself scanning the crowd, eager yet nervous to navigate this newfound connection with Nathan. As they approached, the sound of laughter became clearer against the backdrop of muffled conversations. A small group gathered around what seemed to be a spontaneous dance-off, where two of their old classmates were battling it out in a spirited display of moves reminiscent of their carefree high school days. Jack chuckled, glancing at Nathan, who was already grinning from ear to ear. "Remember when we tried dancing at prom?" Nathan teased, nudging Jack with his shoulder. "We were awful." "Speak for yourself," Jack retorted, grinning as memories flooded him. "I think I was just misunderstood." Nathan laughed, and for the first time in years, it felt easy. Jack allowed himself a moment to breathe, the weight of the past lightening slightly. Watching their peers dance and cheer, he couldn't help but feel nostalgia wrap around him like a warm blanket. This was the life he had missed out on, the joy, the simplicity of being carefree. "Let us join them," Nathan suggested, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Jack hesitated. The thought of facing the crowd's scrutiny, even from his friends, sent a twinge of anxiety through him. Yet, something deeper, an instinct that whispered about embracing moments instead of hiding from them, urged him on. "All right, why not?" The two of them joined the quarrel of dancers, and the moment he hit the floor, Jack felt liberated. He moved to the beat, reveling in the energy that surrounded him. Laughter burst from Nathan, who stumbled into Jack as they both attempted to mimic the wild and exaggerated moves of their classmates. The room lit up with genuine joy, and for that brief moment, Jack truly understood what it meant to let go. After a few rounds of clumsy dancing, Jack stepped back, breathless but exhilarated. He could hardly believe how a simple moment could reignite such vivid feelings of connection. It was as if the weight of the past was replaced by a silver lining of hope, a chance to redefine the narrative that had haunted him. "See? You've still got the moves," Nathan mused, catching his breath beside Jack. "Don't let it get to your head," Jack replied, half joking, but the laughter felt like a bridge being built over the chasm of their past. As the dance-off came to an end, the crowd began to disperse. Jack noticed Maria in the distance, her gaze lingering on him with curious warmth. For a fleeting moment, he considered how much his perspective had shifted, the fear that once clutched his heart now melted away. Maybe there was space for forgiveness and friendship, and something more? Before he could dwell on it any further, Nathan leaned closer, his expression changing to something more serious. "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" Jack's heart raced, all the carefree energy seeming to drain away with Nathan's words. The laughter of the crowd faded into a soft murmur, replaced by the weight of uncertainty. "Sure, what's up?" Nathan took a deep breath, his eyes flickering briefly with apprehension. "It's about us, Jack, and things I haven't told you. Important things about the past." The air felt heavier, filled with the unspoken. Jack's pulse quickened, a knot of anxiety forming in his stomach. What could Nathan possibly reveal that would change everything again? "Yeah, I'm listening," Jack said, bracing himself for the truth he could feel hovering just out of reach. But Nathan hesitated, the moment stretched between them almost painfully. The noise of the party faded, and all Jack could think was whether this would be the turning point or just another door closing. "Let us find somewhere quiet," Nathan finally proposed, the vulnerability in his voice undeniable. As they moved away from the bustling crowd, Jack's heart beat rapidly in his chest. What would Nathan say? And how would the truth reshape their renewed friendship? They slipped out of the main hall and found a small, dimly lit corridor that led to a quieter area, where the noise of the party faded into a distant hum. Jack could feel the tension hanging in the air, thick and palpable. He leaned against the cool wall, his heart pounding, trying to keep his breathing steady. Nathan stood a few paces away, his hair tousled and his hands clasped together, as if trying to grab hold of something solid. The serious look on his face tugged at Jack's nerves. It felt familiar yet unsettling, a twist from the ease they had just shared moments before. "What is going on, Nathan?" Jack asked, the worry slipping into his voice. "You can tell me anything." Nathan looked down for a moment, as if searching for the right words. His brow furrowed, and Jack sensed the weight of countless unsaid things dragging Nathan down. "I never meant for things to be this way, not with us, not with you." He took a deep breath, his eyes finally meeting Jack's. "I should have come clean a long time ago." Jack's gut twisted. "About what?" There was a pause, the silence stretching between them as they stood on the precipice of an uncharted conversation, where old wounds could either find healing or fester further. "It's about why I left," Nathan finally said, his voice thick with emotion. "About the way things changed after high school, how I felt about you." The words hit Jack like a gust of cold wind. He blinked, taken aback. The hint of hope he had felt earlier now battled with uncertainty. "You mean you didn't just disappear? There was more to it?" Nathan nodded, the tension in his posture easing slightly as he began to unravel the truth. "I came out. I was terrified of how everyone would react, especially you. I thought you'd hate me if you found out that I loved you." Jack's heart raced. All the years of wondering, the confusion that accompanied Nathan's abrupt departure, suddenly fell into place. "So, you thought leaving was the answer? You thought I would hate you? I thought it would be easier for you. And for me." Nathan took a shaky breath, his eyes glistening. "But it wasn't. I left everything behind, my friendship with you, the chance to explain it was a coward's way out." Jack felt everything crumble inside him, memories splashing like paint across a canvas. The laughter they shared, the tears, the silent moments that buzzed with unexpressed feelings. "You didn't have to do that, Nathan. I didn't hate you. I missed you." The rawness of his voice surprised even him. "I know that now," Nathan spoke softly, his vulnerability laid bare. "But back then, I thought I had to protect you, protect both of us." Jack stepped forward, his mind racing and heart pounding. "What do we do now?" "I don't know," Nathan admitted, his voice catching. "But I want to try if you'll let me. I need you to know everything, to understand why." A dizzying rush of emotions flooded Jack. Anger mixed with relief, sadness mingled with the possibility of healing. "I think I can handle the truth. Just tell me everything." Nathan's shoulders slumped, his breath trembling as he prepared to share the secrets that had kept him trapped for so long. "Okay, but maybe we should sit? It might take a while." As they settled onto a nearby bench, Jack's heart thudded heavily in his chest. What revelations lay ahead? Would this be the turning point that drew them back together, or would it reveal more cracks in their once unbreakable bond? Jack took a deep breath, eager and fearful all at once. The past had a habit of creeping up when least expected, and the next moment could change everything. Would their connection survive the truth? Nathan shifted nervously on the bench, leaving Jack with a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside him. Memories floated by like shadows. Happy moments exchanged over laughter, memories of shared dreams, and then the abrupt silence after Nathan's departure. For years, that silence felt like a weight on his chest. "Nathan, I don't want you to feel like you have to protect me anymore," Jack finally said, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "If we're going to move forward, we need to be honest with each other, no matter how hard it gets." Nathan nodded, taking a deep breath. "You're right. It's time." He locked eyes with Jack, and the vulnerability of his gaze sent a sudden sense of calm rushing through Jack. The truth is, when I was in school, I started to realize who I really was. But I didn't know how to accept it. So when I started feeling something for you, I panicked. Instead of talking to you, I pushed you away. And then I ran. Jack felt a lump forming in his throat. I thought I did something wrong. I thought you didn't want to be friends anymore because of me. I didn't want to put that on you, Jack. I thought you'd never forgive me for how I felt. So, I left, thinking it was for the best. But it never was. Losing you, it broke something inside me, Nathan said softly. With every word, Jack felt the walls around his heart start to dismantle. It was terrifying yet liberating. I missed you, man. I thought if I could just forget, it would all fade. But it didn't, it only grew, Jack admitted. I wanted to tell you everything, but I couldn't. The years passed, and I thought it was too late. It's never too late, Nathan said, his voice laced with resolve. I've spent too long regretting what I didn't do. I want to fix this. I want to talk about the past, but we have to start somewhere. Starting now sounds good, Jack said, taking a deep breath. You were my best friend, and that hasn't changed. Nathan's eyes lit up, and simple hope washed over them. Do you think we could work toward something new? Maybe rebuild our friendship? Jack thought back to the energy buzzing in the hall, the way laughter flowed like music around them. I definitely want to. That night on the dance floor reminded me of what we used to share, that feeling of being alive, connected. It made me realize how much I missed having you in my life. A tentative smile broke across Nathan's face. So this is a good thing? A really good thing, Jack replied earnestly. But we'll take time. Maybe we can meet up more often, talk about everything. It will be hard, but I think it's worth it. Absolutely, Nathan replied, an edge of excitement creeping into his voice. I want to grow from this, be better, learn to accept who I am and how to be okay with it. As they sat there together, the shadows of their past seemed to start lifting, replaced by a feeling of lightness, a promise of renewal. Conversations that once felt heavy now felt like opportunities, a chance to share burdens instead of carrying them alone. We should go back out there, Jack said, glancing towards the lifted voices of the community from the main hall. Everyone is celebrating, and I feel like we're missing out on something special. Nathan nodded, his warmth radiating across the space between them. Yeah, let us show them how it's done. They rose from the bench, taking a deep breath together, and stepped back into the vibrant warmth of the party. Laughter spilled over them like sunlight breaking through clouds, illuminating the way ahead. As they rejoined the crowd, Jack spotted Maria near the refreshment stand, her eyes instantly lighting up when she saw him. She waved excitedly, and Jack felt the familiar warmth in his heart return, strengthened by the courage he had found in his conversation with Nathan. Hey! You're back! She called, bouncing slightly on her toes. Jack grinned, feeling lighter than air. We had a little chat. He turned to Nathan, who was wearing a smile equally bright. And I think we're ready to embrace the future together. Maria's eyes sparkled with understanding as she took in their camaraderie. I'm so happy to hear that. She beamed. Together is always better. And suddenly, Jack felt it, a deep-rooted connection not just between him and Nathan, but with Maria and the entire community that had surrounded them tonight. The shadows of the past hadn't disappeared, but they had transformed into stepping stones, paving the way for something vibrant and new. As laughter bubbled around them, Jack knew this was just the beginning, a new chapter filled with courage, friendship, and hope. As they stepped further into the festivities, Jack felt lighter with each step, knowing that while the journey ahead would have its trials, they'd face it together, embarking on a path illuminated by the flame of truth and connection. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, and it had arrived. Don't wait. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let the world know these transformations matter. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share what resonates with you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us keep spreading hope and joy.